I'm Still Alive. 1923's Harrison Ford reveals if he would return to Yellowstone universe after season 2 finale. 1923 star Harrison Ford has revealed if he would return to the Yellowstone universe as Jacob Dutton after the season 2 finale of its latest TV show. 1923 season 2 ended with Jacob Ford deciding to retire, helping his wife, Kara Hale-Mirren, in raising their grandson, John Dutton New. While the show later flashes forward to 1969, showing an elderly Spencer, Brandon Sklinner, dying it after visiting his wife, Alexandra's, Julia Schlapfer, grave, it leaves a multi-decade time gap in between that has yet to be filled by the franchise. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter at a FYC event in Los Angeles, California, Ford revealed that he would be open to reprising his role as Jacob from 1923 in future Yellowstone projects. This includes the potential upcoming spin-off 1944, which he joked I'm still alive for. He said that if series creator Taylor Sheridan asks nice, he'd be open to coming back, but also said, I have no idea what his plans are. However, as of writing, there is no official word yet on the status of 1944, nor if Ford will be involved in future series. Ford's interest in coming back as Jacob signals a real possibility that he could return to the franchise. As of writing, there's technically been no official word from Paramount that season 2 of his Yellowstone spin-off ended the show, meaning 1923 season 3 is somewhat possible. However, the time jump with Spencer at Alexandra's grave offered a definitive ending to the story, meaning it wouldn't make sense for the show to go back to when he was younger. This makes it less likely for Jacob to return given his age in the series already. If 1944 were to include Jacob's return, he would be much older, perhaps one of the longest-living members of the Dutton family. But with Ford expressing interest in the possibility of returning, it could also be a way to give his character a send-off as an important figure in their whole history. This would be especially important if the planned prequel really does focus on John, since he's anticipated to become the father of John Dutton IA, Kevin Costner, from the original Yellowstone. Jacob was the central patriarch of the Dutton family in 1923, making it important for the focus to be on him and his time running the ranch. However, even if he did come back in 1944, his age coupled with having decided to retire 21 years earlier means he'd probably only appear for a smaller role in the series. Even so, Ford's talent and the gripping performance he provided means it would be interesting to see him return for the role again, even if he only showed up very briefly. As of writing, the next Yellowstone spin-off set to air is The Madison, debuting on Paramount Network later in 2025. Under the burnished skies of Montana, the winds whisper stories of a legacy etched in grit, sacrifice, and survival. And no one embodies that better than Jacob Dutton, patriarch, protector, and the weathered soul at the heart of 1923. But beyond the gravel-toned voice and steely eyes of the character lies a real-life legend. Harrison Ford. Now in his 80s and still commanding the screen with a presence forged over 5 decades, Ford sat down for a rare, introspective conversation to address the question fans of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone universe have been asking relentlessly. Will he return? He answers the question not with a declaration, but with a story. I'm still alive, Ford says, cracking the ghost of a grin beneath his signature rugged demeanor. And as long as I'm alive, well, so is Jacob. It's a statement that carries more than one meaning. Ford's stint as Jacob Dutton in 1923 was nothing short of transformative for the actor, the franchise, and audiences around the world. Set against the backdrop of Prohibition, Depression, and the silent roar of the American West changing forever, 1923 was never meant to be a simple story. It was a crucible, and Jacob was its iron. But when tragedy struck in Season 1, when beloved family members were lost, when Jacob himself was gunned down, and clinging to life, rumors swirled. Would Ford bow out gracefully? Was this the end of the road for Dutton? Not so fast. It's not about longevity, Ford says, adjusting his worn leather jacket. It's about the why. Why do we keep telling these stories? Why do I keep going? It's not for vanity. It's not even for legacy. It's because these characters, they haunt me. He leans forward, eyes narrowing like a man peering across the plains. Jacob Dutton didn't die, Ford continues. He lived. He crawled out of that canyon of death. He watched people he loved suffer, sacrifice, and stand back up. If he could do that at my age, I can put the hat back on. The Yellowstone universe has become a sprawling mythic tapestry, a Western epic told across centuries. And yet, each chapter is only as strong as its leading man. From Kevin Costner's iconic John Dutton in the flagship series to Ford's steely Jacob, there's a weight to the men at the center of these sagas. A kind of reluctant nobility. Taylor Sheridan wrote something in Jacob that I recognized instantly, Ford reflects. A man who doesn't seek power, but will burn the world down to protect his family. I know that man. I've played versions of him all my life. But Jacob's different. He's the closest I've ever come to playing a man who's both brutal and broken. With the second half of 1923 still dangling like a cattle gate in a windstorm, Sheridan has remained characteristically tight-lipped about the future of the series. But insiders whisper that a return for Ford, if not full-time, then at least for a final chapter, is very much on the table. And Ford, he's not just willing, he's ready. Let's put it this way, he says, with that unmistakable glint. If Taylor writes me a scene where Jacob rides through a snowstorm on horseback, bleeding, clutching a rifle, trying to save someone he loves, I'll do it tomorrow. He pauses, then laughs. As long as I don't have to actually ride the horse at a gallop. Let's be reasonable. The Yellowstone universe has always been preoccupied with survival, of land, of family, of legacy. But Ford believes 1923 was about something deeper. It's about carrying the past on your back while you stumble toward the future, he says. You think about Spencer Dutton out there in Africa, or Kara back on the ranch with fire in her eyes. Every character is trying to prove, I'm still alive, even when the world wants to bury them. When asked how he personally connects to that phrase, Ford grows quiet. I've been in plane crashes. I've lost friends. I've seen my own name in false obituaries more times than I can count, he admits. But every morning I get up, I stretch out the old bones, and I look out the window and think, you're still here. What are you going to do with it? For now, Ford says he's keeping his schedule open. There's no formal contract, no ticking clock. But the desire is there, and more than that, the need. I don't want to say goodbye to Jacob Dutton on a hospital bed, he says. If I come back, I want to ride into the storm. I want to go out like a man who refuses to die quietly. Because that's what the West was, and that's what this character deserves. For fans, those words are as good as a promise. Sheridan's universe has never shied away from death, but it's equally about rebirth. The land may be unforgiving, but it gives back what you fight for. And Jacob Dutton, like Ford himself, is nothing if not a fighter. So will Harrison Ford return to 1923? All signs point to yes. I'm still alive, he repeats, almost like a mantra. And if Jacob's story isn't finished, then neither is mine. Out on the horizon, the Montana sky rolls on, and somewhere, a saddle waits.